like I said, Will be joining us shortly. What's really good? Welcome back to another Friday Night Live of the Opinionated Ones, part of the Sanchez Show. As always, I am Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. Got my brother Vernon Brown-Lee with me. Vern, how you doing today, bro?
I'm doing all right. I'm not Vernon Brown-Lee today. I'm Mr. Always Right.
Listen, it is Super Bowl week. Obviously, we got to get to our picks. It's bittersweet. It's been a great season. We made some money this year. We were right on a lot of picks this year, but this is the end. So we're gonna get into the game. We're gonna get into not only who we like as a winner, you and I, because we're gonna obviously have some tickets and play on Sunday. We'll get into some of the things we like as far as prop bets for Sunday, and then we'll get into the NBA trade deadline.
Yeah,
wasn't any blockbuster deals. Wasn't anything spectacular. A couple solid moves here or there, but ultimately that's what we got right now. Anything comes through in the comment section, we'll get to it. As always, we go live every Friday night. And then remember, I'll put out the link of what we're going to do for Sunday, Trip Young and I. Shout out to my brother Trip Young right now. Will Gordon will be joining us shortly. So, Vern, before Will joins us, I guess let's get into a couple prop bets for Sunday. Some of the things we're paying attention to before we actually get to the game. A lot of people want to know who we might like as touchdown scorers, what we might like as yards, what we might like, final scores, coin tosses. Where do you want to go? What are some of your favorite props for Super Bowl Sunday?
Man, well, one, I'm not going to even address CMC because we already know how that goes. I think that's just too easy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I like Pacheco as a touchdown scorer. I like Rashee Rice over 50 yards. I like Kelsey as a touchdown scorer. Okay. That's where I'm going there. I think I'm going to put that on like just one of those parlays. Of course, I'm going to have a crazy 85,000 odd joint as well. But in terms of something that, I think can hit, I'm definitely going to do that. I think this is going to be a higher scoring game. I think what's the line at? It opened at 50.5. Where's it at now?
I'm checking actually right now. It is at 47.5 right now. FanDuel, just so we're clear, because I looked at the line. So ESPN has the line at San Francisco -1.5. FanDuel has it at San Fran -2.5 with the over-under set at 47.5.
Yeah. But in terms of props, man, I think those are your locks. I think you can take Deebo Samuel with 50 yards easily. I'm not touching Kittle. Kittle, depending on their scheme, sometimes they just have Kittle. They just have Kittle to block, and it's like Kittle is going to block, and he'll have like a massive game. And trying to decide which one is going to be is that it's not a game I want to play. Okay, and the reason why I'm going Deebo with 50 over IU because I think Deebo is a more versatile player. I think they're going to line him up more all over the field, and they might be able to get better matchups against the Kansas City Chiefs secondary. So that's why I like Deebo. Okay. As for the touchdown scores on the 49ers, outside of CMC, I'm gonna go Deebo to score a touchdown. I think he can score it in a lot of different ways. I know a lot of people are probably gonna go Brock Purdy with over on the rushing yards. I'm pretty sure it's inflated from last week. So I will take the under on Brock Purdy rushing yards as well.
I like the Deebo anytime touchdown, just as you mentioned, because Kyle Shanahan is going to try to find creative ways to get him the ball, whether as a receiver or as a running back. We'll go to once you set up, just give me the thumbs up and I'll bring you on live. One of the props that I really like for Deebo, though, FanDuel has the player who will have the most rushing and receiving yards. And they have Deebo at +600.
+600?
Yeah. I like that.
He has to have the most rushing and receiving yards?
Combination. So total yards, basically.
I got you.
So I like that one because, like I said, I expect him to be used as a running back at times in this game, as well as their number one receiver. So this could be one of the moments where he gets 110.
+600? I think that's kind of high. I think lower.
I agree. But when I checked the other day, it was at +600. I like that one because I could see him having 100+ total yard games.
Who's your favorite in that category?
Well, Pacheco was at +500. McCaffrey was the only minus person on that. McCaffrey was, I think, at -110 for that.
I mean, if they don't get that screen game going, he could go crazy. He ain't gonna lie.
Well, we know McCaffrey's gonna get his touches, but I just think Deebo is gonna get 7 to 8 catches as a receiver.
Yeah, bet is on Debo. Like it's
The
not.
better
It's not.
value.
The better bet is on Debo, but I bet you FanDuel not letting you parlay that. You could probably only just bet that straight.
Yeah, that's straight up. So you can't do
Yeah.
nothing with that one. I like the Pacheco. I like Pacheco plus 3.5 receptions. I think I see Andy Reid and him coming out early, trying to get the screen game going to slow down the Niner pass rush.
I'm not mad at it. I mean, everything that you're saying, everything I'm saying, I'm putting it on one ticket. So just send it to me. I mean,
I like.
I might have an $87,000 rate going out there.
I was trying to look at stuff that had plus odds. To me, I like the Pacheco 3.5 receptions because I think he's gonna get that early in the game. One of the things Andy Reid showed last year, and I still think that they'll never live it down. They know a couple years ago they let Tampa Bay destroy their offensive line. I don't think Andy Reid ever lets that happen again. It'll be the quick passing game. It'll be the screen game. It'll be just get the ball out quick and we'll get momentum.
Yeah, Thuney isn't playing in this game, is he? I don't think Joe Thuney is playing in this game. So Chiefs offensive line left guard, all pro. You know, if he ain't playing this game, I can see them trying to work that
in. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready. I see you on it. Just let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready because I know you were still setting up your phone. But yeah, I like that one. And I like the Valdes-Scantling. They got him at 19.5 receiving yards.
You think the over?
I like the over. Last couple weeks, he's gone over. He's also gotten at least 4 targets in every game through the playoffs. So I have a feeling, being that he's one of the few veteran receivers on the team, I expect Rice to have a good game, and we know Kelsey's their guy. But in terms of like proven veterans at the receiver position, they don't have very many. I think Valdes-Scantling might be a guy who goes over 20 yards, and he might get some early targets in this game as well to get them going. I'm gonna bring Will in. He said he's ready to go. Will Gordon's in the building. What's good, bro?
What they do, baby? What up, counselor?
What's good?
Where the counselor go?
His camera went out. Hold on, he'll get back in there. How's everything with you, though, bro?
Chilling, man. Chilling. Just trying to get this winter over with. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. We are right now. The
sad day when we getting down to the last football game. No, that's a sad day.
It's bittersweet. Like I said, it's Super Bowl. Obviously, we're excited to see the game, but at the same time, you know, this is it. Football season's over now.
What up, Vernon?
What's up, man? You had to blow my nose crazy.
Yeah. We were going over some of the props that we like for Sunday. As I mentioned at the start, you know, we'll see what comes through the comment section. It's kind of light right now, but obviously we're gonna do our picks and we'll get into a little bit of NBA talk, and then we'll see kind of where we stand at that point. But yeah, Vern, that's the ones I like the most. But let's get to the game since Will is in here now. Will, this is a rematch from 4 years ago. Tell me what you're thinking about this game. What do you like in this game, and who you like?
There's actually a lot I like about this game. I think this is one of the Super Bowls in recent history that has a lot of storylines that you could, you know, kind of embrace.
Yeah.
The biggest to me is Andy Reid versus Kyle Shanahan. Andy Reid, he's got his iron. He's been here and done that before. But I think as far as Kyle Shanahan's legacy goes, because we know about, you know, his shortcomings in playoff history in the past. He was the OC for the 28-3 game, you know.
Sure.
I think this is a big deal for him to kind of show that wasn't a fluke and it wasn't on him. And really, if you look at both teams, he's coming in with more firepower than what Kansas City currently is. Now Mahomes is gonna Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna give you that performance that makes you be like, wow, that's just who he is. We gotta deal with that. We just gotta realize that's what it is with Patrick Mahomes. But as far as when you look at the other side of the ball with Purdy, if Kyle Shanahan can have Brock Purdy raise a Super Bowl championship, then that might erase a lot of his mistakes in the past. I'm sure you guys have already talked about how loaded San Francisco is on both sides of the ball, to be honest with you. But like the defense wins championships thing, that might be getting outdated because you got to score points. And San Francisco has a lot of dudes that can score points. Christian McCaffrey's going to do his thing, I'm sure. Kittle can do his thing. Ayuk can do his thing. Debo can do his. I mean, they got. It's like if you're the defensive coordinator of the Chiefs, what's your focus really besides McCaffrey? And nobody can stop him. So should he even be your focus? You know what I mean? What aspect of their offense gives them that extra juice pulse that gives them the advantage? That's where they should focus. I think if you can take away a Kittle, if you can take away an Ayuk, then I think you have a better shot at winning the football game. But then when you look at the Chiefs going Chiefs, man. I think we gotta realize that. That's just the way it is in football today. And they always find a way to not dominate, but they always find a way to be relevant in games and close in games. And like they're never gonna get blown out. Have we seen them blown out in any big games ever?
I mean, only that Super Bowl against Tampa, but that's because they, their offensive line was so depleted. They were out there with damn near backups at every spot on the whole line.
Yeah. Right now it ain't that though. Right. So I'm gonna pick the 49ers to win this game. Only because of Chase Young. That was for Vernon. Just kidding. Just kidding. That was for Vern and his Washington Commanders fan loyalty and all. But no, I think the defensive side of the ball is going to play a large part in the outcome as well. And you cannot sleep on that 49ers defense. At every layer of the defense, they have stars on the D-line, at linebacker, and in the secondary. And if they can keep Patrick Mahomes from killing them with the deep ball pass, then I think they have a good shot at being able to come out on top in this one.
They can. I mean, I agree with you. There is a lot of legacy in this game for Kyle Shanahan because obviously there's only but so long you can be the genius offensive mind until you win. Like if you don't win, then it's like, all right, you're just a good head coach, but you just can't get over the hump.
Right.
But for the 49ers, to me, one of the storylines that I haven't heard talked about enough is this team went all in, right, with Kyle Shanahan as head coach. They did it the first time when they went and got Jimmy G and they paid Jimmy G. The Trey Lance draft day trade is the biggest thing that looms over this franchise because they gave up on him very quickly. Brock Purdy surpassed him and became the quarterback. And if Brock Purdy doesn't play well, then that becomes the area of this team where it's like, we gave up all that draft capital. We still didn't get the guy we needed. And now we're kind of stuck in this cycle of game manager quarterbacks. Because Jimmy Garoppolo got him to a Super Bowl, but Jimmy can't make enough plays to win him a Super Bowl. And Brock now, as we've said before, maybe Brock is kind of the same type of quarterback where he can make some plays week in, week out. He can do enough things to get you there, but can he make the plays when it matters to win the game? And I think that's what we're going to see this week. He's going to have to make some plays against this Kansas City defense that's better than I think a lot of people are giving him credit for. Kansas City defense is pretty good. And Steve Spagnuolo is another guy who I don't think gets enough credit. When you look at what he's done as defensive coordinator in Kansas City and in New York, he finds a way to rattle quarterbacks in these Super Bowls. He did it to Tom Brady. He did it to Jimmy Garoppolo last time they played. He did it last year to Jalen Hurts. They got the turnovers last year against Jalen Hurts when they needed to get the turnovers to win that game. So I expect him to do things again this week that's going to confuse Purdy. The 49er defense, though, I'm not as high on them as you are, though, Will, because I watched Detroit move the ball up and down the field on them last week. And if not for that fluky catch by Brandon Ayuk that hits a defender in the helmet, they probably blow the 49ers out. And I had the 49ers to win last week, but their defense didn't look good last week. And their defense didn't look good the week before that when Green Bay was moving up and down the field on them. And pretty much since Baltimore beat them up and down the field and beat them up. Every other team has been able to put up points on the Niners defense. So I'm a little curious to see what the Niners adjustments are going to be this week to stop Patrick Mahomes and his Kansas City team that I think is a little different. Vern, what are your thoughts on the game, though?
I think you just read my playbook. I was like, oh, he gonna say. I was like, oh, he
Hey,
said.
not to cut off Vern, I just have a quick question.
You all cut me off.
I mean, you know, that's when they be like, all respect due. That's when you know some shit's going. But no, just real quick, I just have a quick question. Is Eric Armstead healthy?
I can check right now who we got as questionable for that game.
That's my only question. Go ahead, counselor. My bad.
But no, you good. But what is it? Just so sorry.
They have 49ers have nobody listed on the injury report right now.
All right, let's go. I'm telling you, that deep move.
Why this game to me is so I guess important is you're gonna have the 49ers, as Eric said, if the 49ers don't win this game and they don't win because Brock Purdy just cannot make the plays, I think the 49er ownership really needs to look at John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. Because you got to think, if we don't win it this year, how are we getting back? It's very hard to get back to Super Bowl. You just don't come back. And they almost had to run a perfect script to get to this point. They had to get the number one seed. And getting the number one seed, you had other teams like pretty much just flame out in the season. So you're like, okay, what are we doing here? Because if we can't win Super Bowl and he doesn't play well, you might be stuck in this pattern or this cycle. And that's really because of Kyle Shanahan and them. Now, on the flip side, is like if the 49ers win, Patrick Mahomes now will have only 2 Super Bowls. Yeah, he's been to a lot of championships, but he has 2 Super Bowls, really just one more than Brock Purdy at this point in time. So I think at this point, that would put a halt to the is he GOAT conversation at this point. I think it'll just put a pause to it. Not saying that he can't eventually get there, but I think it'll put a pause to it. If the Chiefs win, Andy Reid to me is probably one of the greatest head coaches of all time, probably top 3. Right? I don't know if top 3. You could argue that he's probably number 1, right? With the Eagles, he's did everything but win Super Bowl, and with the Chiefs, all he is doing is winning Super Bowls, right? Mahomes is now, hey, it's just a matter of time before he catches Brady. So I think the game has a lot of potential future impacts. I also think Andy Reid retires if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, to be honest with you. And I wouldn't be surprised if Eric Bieniemy is made head coach if that happens. Now, what I think is actually going to happen, I think the 49ers are going to fall flat on their face. And I think the nightmare scenario for the 49ers is they win the Super Bowl, but Brock Purdy looks trash. Of course, you're happy that you get the Super Bowl, but your long-term success or sustained success is going to be it's going to look very limited. I don't know why so many people are high on the 49ers because as a team, even though they could be talented, they don't really play talented. As Eric pointed out, your most talented side of the ball has struggled defensively and offensively. Like I said, if it wasn't for Ayuk, that fluke play with the Detroit Lions Gardner not being able to just make a routine interception, they don't even win this game. Their offense didn't look good in that game before that, and their defense looked terrible. So I think the Chiefs, with their experience, is just going to be a little bit too much for the 49ers to handle. I think Brock Purdy comes out. Remember, Brock Purdy also in that game had an interception that should have been returned to the house. I think he throws at least one interception. He might even fumble the ball. So if they had turnovers on Brock Purdy, I'm taking the over. Like I said, Spagnuolo has done an amazing job coming out, making adjustments. He's the only person I've seen all year really shut down the Ravens. So I got to go Chiefs. Wow, did he really hit that shot, brother? What is that?
I just think that a couple things too, right? Like you talked about Andy Reid. If they win this game, that gives Andy Reid 3 Super Bowl rings. He taking his team to 5, and he's coached 10 conference championships. Like the only guys that will have a more impressive resume than that are probably Bill Belichick and like Chuck Noll, because Chuck Noll has 4 Super Bowl wins. But after that, then you got Andy Reid in the same conversation as Bill Walsh with 3 Super Bowls. You know, you like there aren't many coaches that resume would even be close to Andy
I
Reid.
think Reid is more impressive though. He did it in a different
right. So
two
Andy
different
Reid,
teams, 2 different franchises.
Right. Andy Reid would have had this longevity and this type of dominance. Because remember when he did it with the Eagles, they went to 4 straight conference championships.
Yes,
I'm
dominant.
glad you brought up the Eagles. I'm glad you brought them up because that division was trash. So I mean, yeah, he got there, but he was facing the Cowboys, who we know have not got to the promised land in 30 years. Washington has not got to the promised land in 30 years, and then the Giants team that would luck into playoff success with Eli catching fire in the playoffs. So I mean, it's not like he was really in a gauntlet of a division.
No,
I mean, you can say the same thing about Belichick, though.
Right. And I was about to say that Belichick, the years that they dominated the AFC East, there was no competitor in that division either. And that's fair. But even when you look at the teams Andy Reid was losing to in the playoffs, when they were making the conference championship, they were losing to eventual champions. They lost to Tampa Bay when Tampa Bay won it all, right? They lost to the Rams when the Rams won it all. Like, they were going toe-to-toe with the best teams in football and coming up just short. And then when they got to the Super Bowl, they lost to what was a dynasty at the time in the Patriots. So I think Andy Reid did everything he could do with Philly. Let's keep in mind, too, outside of Donovan McNabb, like, they didn't have much at the skill position. They was out there with guys like Freddie Mitchell and Todd Pinkston.
Brian Westbrook was good.
No, but Westbrook was good, yes, absolutely. But what I'm saying is they didn't have much outside of that.
Terrell Owens was good.
But he only had
Right. You know what I'm saying? When they got him, they went to the Super Bowl. Remember, they only had Terrell Owens that 1 year. The second year, it all flamed out, and then he gets separated from the team, and they kicked him off the team. But I'm saying, in terms of resume and what he's been able to do to now have this, where if you win, right? If this is all hypothetical, because if they don't win, as Vern said, all that GOAT talk, you got to calm all that down now. You 2-2 as Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, that's good.
Brock Purdy, come on.
No, hold on. Whether you lose to Brock Purdy or not, because Mahomes could go off and they could lose. Don't get me wrong. Mahomes could have a great Super Bowl and they lose. No different than when Brady lost to the Eagles. I don't look at it as Brady losing to Nick Foles, because Brady threw for damn near 500 yards in that game. Yeah. It's just their defense couldn't get a stop.
Yeah.
Brady did everything he could do. So it's very possible that Mahomes could do everything he could do and his defense just can't get a stop and they lose. But at 2-2 in the Super Bowl for Patrick Mahomes, at 2-2 for Andy Reid, now all that talk calms down. It's like, all right, it's been a good run, but you guys ain't dominating because you guys aren't winning every year. You're having some ups, you're having some downs. The legacy part of this to me is big all the way around, because there's a lot of guys whose legacy is attached to what's happening right now in this Super Bowl. We talked about Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch. You've attached your wagon to all these star players. It got to work. And if you don't win this year, if you're the 49ers, as Vern said, you got to wonder how much longer is the window going to be open. You were in the NFC Championship game last year. You were in the Super Bowl this year. You're not going to get too many cracks at it. Nope. Like, this isn't the norm for teams to just keep coming back every year. You don't keep having deep playoff runs. The Chiefs have been the exception. And even with that, we saw a couple years ago when the Bengals upset them in the playoffs. We saw when Tampa beat them in the Super Bowl. You're not just going to keep coming back and getting chances. For the 49ers, I think you have to win it now. You have to take advantage of what you have, because you got a lot of high salary guys on that team. You can't keep running back with the same squad.
So you think who does it mean more to? I think is a good.
It got to mean more to Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, must.
They got it.
I think so too.
Of the decade.
I agree with that.
Mahomes got listen of the decade, and Reid's in the Hall of Fame. Nothing changed.
Yeah.
Right. Reid and Mahomes have had their moment in the sun. They got their rings already. Mahomes is 28. So Mahomes, obviously, with the contract he has, he knows we're going to keep building it and get a chance. I think the Bieniemy point is a great point of view as well, because Bieniemy's been spending time with the team. So it looks like he's going to go back on that coaching staff and probably become the successor for Andy Reid whenever Reid decides to leave. So for Reid, this would be a great way to send off. If Reid wins this and they've won back-to-back and they've won 3 out of 5 years, I wouldn't be surprised if Andy Reid said, I'm good now. Like, I ain't much else I can do. I got 3 rings here, back-to-back. I'm moving on.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Andy, I mean not Andy. If EB gets passed up again, and they make Spagnuolo the head coach.
Nah,
Or
I
what?
think EB's going back to the coaching staff. I said last year I thought that they probably could have set up a plan in place for Eric Bieniemy, but I think Bieniemy just wanted to kind of do it on his own. I think he wanted to get out of that shadow.
Yeah.
Will, you and I
But
talked
what-
about it. When he took the commander's job, you and I both, we questioned why take that job.
He didn't really do shit with it though.
He
He
couldn't.
did, but it was also a tough spot for him. You giving him an inexperienced quarterback.
Then
You giving
don't then don't put yourself in that spot then. If what you're trying to do is excel and be a head coach at some point, why would you go to a situation with a lame duck head coach, a quarterback that don't know his ass from his elbows, and a defense that was trash? Why would you do that?
Listen, you and I said this in the preseason. We wondered why he would take that job. And at the time, I think you and I both concluded the only reason you take that job is because he probably looked at it like, if I do my job, Ron's going to get fired anyway. Maybe I get elevated. But what he didn't foresee was that there was going to be an ownership change. With that ownership change comes a new front office, comes new personnel. We're going to get rid of guys. And so he got caught up in that whole shuffle. I think he goes back to Kansas City. I think they put the plan in place, and he ultimately takes over as head coach at some point.
We'll see. I think he turns into like a running backs coach because I don't think the league is interested in Eric Bieniemy
The league may
as
not
a
be.
whole. I just don't think the league is interested.
I think the respect he has in Kansas City is strong enough. He's going to go back, I think, to being the offensive coordinator there until Reed leaves. I don't think Spagnuolo's interested in being a head coach again. He hasn't interviewed for a job in a couple years now. I don't think he's really interested in that. I think he likes just focusing on the defense.
But I also don't. I think that the fact that the Chiefs got back to the Super Bowl without EB hurts his case. It's like, oh, we got back here without you, dog. Like, what was you really bringing to the table? What was you really bringing to the table when you were coaching an offense that had Tyreek Hill on it?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. What do you bring? And I forget the running back's name, but they had way better players when EB was there.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the Chiefs' offense, if you look at their players, they struggled to find a receiver all year. They kept on saying they didn't have a receiver. Pacheco was a nice. He was that's the running back, right? Pacheco.
Mm-hmm.
He was a nice addition, a nice find. And then, of course, you had Travis Kelce, who's one of the best tight ends ever. But EB, we back in the Super Bowl with less talent and without you.
Well, this is
so, dude. See what I'm saying? It's like,
of course,
But it's not because of their offense, though.
We remember we debated this a few weeks ago when I was saying, like, when we were debating like the Chiefs struggles, and we were wondering like, oh, how much of that was Eric Bieniemy not being there? And I kept saying, I think it was more about just their receivers weren't performing. The fact that their receivers now have performed, we see them look like the Chiefs now, right? Some of the same passes that Valdes-Scantling was dropping early in this year, he's catching now in the playoffs. And the best thing they did was probably make Kadarius Toney inactive the last 2 weeks. He ain't played. They just kept him off the field and was like, yo, we're going to go with the guys we trust the most. So, like you said, we're going to force feed Kelce. He's our number one guy no matter what. You double him, we're going to find a way to get him the ball. We're going to run the ball with Pacheco. We're going to come out. The Chiefs have done something that's interesting to me. They redefined themselves on the fly because when you watch them, especially in that Baltimore game, look back how many times they ran a 3 tight end set. That's never been their style. But they went out with a more power style to force you to switch your personnel, and then we're going to throw off of that. So when you come out with bigger packages, pause, then we're going to throw into
that's a super pause.
You got to pause that. But I'm saying now we can throw into those coverages now because you got additional linebackers on the field worrying about our running game. Now you're giving too much attention to Kelce because you see multiple tight ends on the field. So they've done some new things. And to Vern's point too, the Kansas City defense got to get a lot of credit. Kansas City didn't score 1 point in the second half last week against Baltimore and still won that game. The fumble at the goal line by Zay Flowers, the interception in the end zone, Spagnuolo kept Lamar guessing the whole game. Lamar was scrambling more so because he couldn't figure out the defense. Those weren't designed scrambles. That was more like Lamar wanted to be the passer, but they couldn't figure out the defense. They couldn't figure out where the pressures were coming from. and Lamar was more scrambling out of necessity as opposed to like, this is our game plan. Spagnuolo has done, I think, a phenomenal job. We talk about quarterbacks. There's another thing I've been thinking about this week too. The Chiefs, if they win, I don't want to call it the easiest path, but when you look at the quarterbacks they beat, they're beating guys that never been to this point, right? They beat the Dolphins in a game tour, no playoff experience. They beat them in the cold in Kansas City. They beat Lamar in the AFC Championship game. That's the first time Lamar ever been to that point. Now they're facing Brock Purdy. It's the first time he's ever been to that point. There's also that part of it where when you're playing Kansas City, they don't make mistakes. And if you do, you start to feel the pressure. You felt it last week in Baltimore. When they try to bring Terrell Suggs out to hype with the crowd, that was a tense environment because they knew we're making mistakes and Mahomes and them are not going to make mistakes. Mahomes and them are damn near going to play a perfect game. And the moment you make 1 or 2 mistakes, they make you pay for it.
Let's see, what I think is you can't just say, oh, he beat Tua. There hadn't been there. That he beat that whole Miami Dolphins team was not prepared to play that day. It was too cold. It was too cold.
Mm-hmm.
Then, I mean, you saw that early in that game. It was too cold for them. You saw it in their face. And then in the Baltimore game, no Mark Andrews, right?
No, he played. Mark Andrews played.
Oh, he did play?
Mm-hmm.
But that was his first game back in like 8 weeks, right?
Correct. That is correct.
And they threw the ball. Baltimore gave them that game. They threw the ball the whole game, and running back saw like 6 to 8 carries that game. You dropped Lamar Jackson back 83% of your offensive snaps, which is not how they were built. And I don't know why they thought that was going to be the winning formula for that game. So it's other factors that go in there that, I mean, Kansas City, they can only face who they faced. But there are other factors in there, I think, where other teams were not up to par and up to speed that kind of put them in the spot. I mean, I'm not trying to take nothing away from them, but there are the other factors you gotta keep in mind as to how they got back here.
No, there are always other factors, but my point is, in those moments, we've seen before where inexperienced, like you said, Baltimore, prime example. We've never been here, so what we do, we start pressing now. We can't figure out what Spagnuolo's where he's bringing the pressure from. We can't figure out who's dropping in the coverage. So as opposed to us sticking to what we've done all year, Kansas City forces you to make mistakes.
But Eric, I'm gonna go opposite. I think it's slightly a misread because they had to go on the road more times than they've ever gone on the road. Secondly, yeah, I know you might say Baltimore no experience, etc., but Lamar Jackson was playing at an MVP level this year. They had to beat an MVP winner this year. They had to go to Buffalo in the playoffs and actually finish them there. And people say, well, the game is now in Buffalo. It's not at Arrowhead, so things are going to be different. And they still went through. I'm not sure, like, who else would they have played that would have been tougher?
No, I'm not diminishing the opponents. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is when we've seen it in every sport, when a team isn't used to being in that moment, you can sense when the pressure starts to get to them.
What team would that have been? I don't know any team that has experience like they do. Who?
Right, but I'm not just talking about teams that have experience like they do. I'm just saying in general, you're facing teams and you're staring down. All right. I mean, listen, you can't. All right, fair. You can't pick who you're going to play in the playoffs. Whoever's there is who you got to play.
All right.
My point is, though, you can see where their experience is taking over in situations. Like I said, their offense hasn't looked great.
No.
And I'm not saying this against Kansas City because I like Kansas City on Sunday. I'll put it out there. That's my pick for Sunday. I like Kansas City to win this game. But I like them to win this game because I do feel, again, that Brock Purdy and the fact that he's never been here will show in that moment.
Oh, it's going to show.
Right.
Spagnuolo is
great. Spagnuolo, and that's my point. The Kansas City Chiefs, I think, have really been able to take advantage of some of these inexperienced quarterbacks. That's not their fault. I'm not saying that as a knock against Kansas City. I'm saying that as a fact. What
experienced quarterbacks could they have possibly played? Like, think about it.
Well, I mean, it shapes out the way it shapes out.
Yeah,
obviously, they ain't got to face Joe Burrow. They ain't got to face Joe Burrow, but we've seen how Joe Burrow has played them the 2 times.
They played the MVP.
But again, that was Lamar's first time in that stage. Mahomes went through it the first time he was at that stage too. If you look back at his first AFC Championship game against Brady and them, Mahomes struggled in the first half of that game because when you're that inexperienced guy and you're facing the veteran team, the proven team across the sideline, you're gonna tense up. You're gonna try to be perfect. So I think Brock Purdy struggles this week. That's my whole point in it. Brock Purdy's gonna struggle. He's gonna look across the field. They're gonna give him defenses that he's never seen, and if he makes one mistake, Kansas City's gonna capitalize on it. Because they've shown that all playoffs. You make one mistake, they capitalize.
Brock Purdy, we said this last week or a couple weeks ago. Brock Purdy throws 2 balls that's going to get picked.
Easily.
He throws 2 every week to get dropped. So is Kansas City going to catch him? That's what, because every week he throws a ball that you're like, oh, and the DBs looking at their hands or something like that. You know what I mean?
I gotta agree.
Can he get away with that? Can he get away with that in the Super Bowl?
No.
And I gotta agree with you. I don't understand why all of the announcers and sportcasts, we all saw the same game, and they're praising Brock Purdy. Like, I'm like, did y'all not watch? He literally threw an interception to a dude that at the worst should have been a drop pass, but it ended up being a touchdown off some super fluke mess, and y'all over here praising him like he is throwing dots and dimes. Like
they want the story, Vern. That's what it is. They want the story. They want the story more than the actual what they see. They want the story of they're still trying to pump this Mr. Irrelevant stuff, and he's got the baby face and
that's true.
Looks like a little kid. They want the story, man. That's what it's more about, I think.
Shout out to Gary Blankenship. They want
what
the
up,
story.
Gary?
He made a couple throws out of desperation last week, but really Detroit beat themselves more than the 49ers beat them.
God. Dan Campbell lost that game.
If Dan Campbell takes field goals in some of the moments, they win that game.
This is Eric, before you go, the point at Dan Campbell really messed up. Whenever you have a chance to go up by 3 scores, the rule is you go up by 3 scores, regardless of how you have to go up by 3 scores. He's up 14. Okay, if you get 21, it's still 3 scores. You got to get that third score to make them get an extra possession.
And not only
he turned into Brandon Staley.
Yeah, he did. And to a point you made earlier, Will, right? When you face the 49ers, you know you can't take away all the weapons. We know that, right? And you know most times you really can't take away Christian McCaffrey because he's just too dynamic. But if you can go up 3 scores, now you can limit McCaffrey's impact because he can't beat you as a runner anymore. He can only beat you as a pass catcher. So Dan Campbell, you got to take the 3-score lead. You got to force the ball in Brock Purdy's hand, which is another thing I would like to know what Dan Campbell was thinking. Because in the best case scenario, if you tell somebody, look, how do you want to beat the 49ers? Or how do you want to make the 49ers play? I want Brock Purdy to have to beat me. If Brock Purdy can drop back 40 times and beat me, then I just got to take that on the chin. Pause. I'll take that. But that's how I want. I don't want Christian McCaffrey getting 25 carries. I don't want their defense causing havoc and hit my quarterback. I want Brock Purdy to have to drop back 40 times and beat me. They had the chance to do that, and he allowed the 49ers stick in the game. The Gibbs fumble hurt them as well because the 49ers at that point have all the momentum, and then it gave them a short field to be able to tie the game. Kansas City's not going to make those mistakes. I just don't see Kansas City making those type of mistakes this week. I think Kansas City wins. That's my pick. Will, you're saying you got San Fran this week?
I do. I see it being like I don't even think it's going to be a high-scoring game, to be honest with you, gentlemen. I think it's going to be like 17-14.
A grind.
Yeah. I think it's going to come down to who makes the most plays in the fourth quarter down the stretch. I actually think it could go to overtime, to be honest. I just don't see this being a game of a bunch of fireworks and stuff. I just with the way Kansas City's offense has not been as explosive as they used to be, and with the way Spagnuolo schemes up defenses to not give up deep plays very often, and the way that Brock Purdy still to this day looks confused under a lot of coverages, I just don't think it's going to be a lot of points scored.
I'm opposite. I understand.
If to me, if it's going to be a low scoring game, I don't see how the 49ers win it then. Because then if it's a low scoring game, that means you're assuming Mahomes and them is going to make mistakes.
I'm not saying that, but what I think is them boys in San Francisco got more firepower to overcome those situations.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not, and Kyle is going to scheme those boys up. Kansas City's defense is underrated, but I just don't see a situation this weekend where Kansas City's offense has enough to go against San Francisco's defense. I mean, I might be wrong,
Vern,
but I see it being a low scoring game, and I see San Francisco coming out on top, and Kyle Shanahan finally getting that monkey off his back, and then that plays into the story of Mike Shanahan and Ed McCaffrey winning the Super Bowl together, and then Kyle Shanahan and Chris McCaffrey winning the Super Bowl together. They'll love that story.
Absolutely. Vern,
I'd rather see that story than Travis Kelce and Cyndi Lauper.
Vern,
I know how you feel about.
We know how you feel about Brock Purdy, so I'm assuming you have Kansas City on Sunday as well.
I got Kansas City, yeah.
Fair. Let's get to Gary. Gary got a couple statements here, and then we're gonna get into a little bit of NBA talk. Like I said, unless the comment section starts to pick up, it might be an early show tonight.
Hey,
but
before we get to Gary, can we get real quick? Because that's my man, Gary. We was just talking at work today. We gonna get you in there, Gary. But how y'all feel about the halftime show? Usher, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Better than it's cool. It should be a very entertaining show. I think.
Y'all think he's going? This is something I was thinking about earlier today. Who y'all think he's gonna be bringing out? Because you know it ain't just gonna be him the whole time. You think you might see
he's gonna be one
some
of
people he's collabed with in the past, like some Luda, some Jay.
Alicia Keys. They said, yeah. So I know her for sure.
Oh, yeah, Alicia Keys is gonna be there.
Yeah, that's what they said. You know, the NFL wants Taylor Swift to come out with them. You know that.
Don't do it. Jay-Z don't want that to happen. That ain't happening.
I was about to say Jay and Rock Nation control that, so they,
that ain't
coming out.
But I mean, like for his, like Usher got a catalog.
Yeah, he'll probably. I think he'll have at least 2 special guests with him.
Deep.
I think that's a nice. That's a parlay, because y'all know I don't gamble, but that's a parlay I like to find to see who the guest appearances are going to be for the halftime show. Now, I'm kind of geek for this joint because I like how the Super Bowl in the last 10 years has actually paid attention to us and our culture. You know what I mean? And shout out to Jay-Z being hired as the ambassador of Super Bowl entertainment a few years ago. But I'm kind of geek for the halftime show. It'd be raw. You know what would be raw? But they ain't having no songs together. But you know what would be raw? But in America, don't want this to happen either, though. But if he brought out Breezy,
ain't no way, boy.
Yeah,
no.
The domestic violence issues that they got in the NFL, it ain't no.
How tough would that be, though, if you see Usher and Breezy on the Super Bowl stage?
Plus 10.
Some That's the verses we all want, ain't it? That's the verses we want, ain't it?
Verses. That is definitely the verses we want.
All right, my bad. All right, back to Gary. My bad.
No. Yeah, that's the verses we want. I just don't know if we'll see it in that capacity there. But Gary said, never count on Mahomes, man. It's legit, absolutely. He also said if Mahomes wins the Super Bowl, we're talking about him building a top 5 QB ever resume already. I think he's already top 5.
I think he's there.
Already there.
Yeah, he's
there already.
I've had this debate with people. The 2 Super Bowls and 2 regular season MVPs already put him in the elite conversation. But then when you just talk about his winning now in his 4th Super Bowl, he's been to the same amount of Super Bowls as Peyton Manning. He's one less Super Bowl than John Elway. Obviously, 3 more Super Bowls than Aaron Rodgers, Dan Marino, 2 more Super Bowls than Brett Favre. If he wins this one and gets to 3,
He's number 3 all time right now.
who do you
got?
I think we got the same top 3, but I want to hear your top 3, Vern.
It's Brady without a question. Okay.
Mhm.
Then it's
Joe
Mon-
Cool.
and it's Mahomes.
I agree.
There's
Who you
nobody
have as-
else.
Who you have as 4th? If we did a Mount Rushmore.
Man,
Danny.
four you could argue. I would
Danny.
4 you could argue a lot. I ain't going really, but if I had to go number 4 all time, ooh.
You going Elway? I already see it. I see it in your face.
But I will probably. Oh man,
You going Elway?
I will go Manning. I'm gonna go Manning all time. But Elway was definitely right up there with
I
him.
agree.
The only reason I'm
Where
going
you put Danny though? Where you put Dan Marino? I know he ain't got the hardware, but that wasn't his fault. But where would you put him though, as far as skill set?
He like number 6.
6.
Because to me, it's
I ain't gonna
Elway.
be mad at you.
Yes, it's
I ain't
Elway.
mad at you.
I mean Elway Marino. If you want to go Marino, that gets a little cluttered to me because as pure passers, that's fine, but I gotta give credit to people who've actually won the whole thing.
Mhm.
I gotta go there. And Peyton Manning, even though he was disappointing, in my opinion, more than he was successful, the things that he was able to do from the quarterback position with the audibles and the way he was able to pick defense apart. I never get the time when he opened up with the Broncos against the Ravens. And I remember watching that game thinking, like, the NFL is getting too easy because I think he had, 7 touchdowns in that game? It was like, it would be like something. It was something crazy. And this was like late in his career.
It's crazy that with as much as the offensive side of the game has evolved in the NFL, nobody's still broken the numbers he did in Denver when he had the 55 touchdown passes.
It was crazy, bro.
And he was supposed to be done at that point too.
That's Madden type shit right there. That's Madden type shit. Like,
I remember watching opening day and said the league is too easy now because I was like, it was like rules were changing. I was like, and it wasn't the rules change; it was just hot. Like that was just That's why I
know what?
Number 4.
You want to know the difference between John Elway and Dan Marino? Terrell Davis.
Yeah, but that was late in John Elway's career. John Elway had already.
He didn't get the chips till late in his career.
He had already last 2 Super Bowls before Terrell Davis. He was leading his team.
He got there. He got there.
But he said Marino never got there.
Yeah, Marino got there one time and never got back.
Yeah, as like a second-year player, right, or a rookie.
He got there his second year and then never got back. Elway kept getting there, but the thing too with Elway, they played like great teams though, because remember they lost to the 49er team with Bill Walsh. They lost to that Redskin team that at that point I think that was your second or third that was your second Super Bowl.
Second.
Yeah, that was the second one. They lost to the Giants with Parcells in them when they was on their little bit of run. Like that was at that point in the 80s and early 90s when the NFC was the dominant conference. The best
Cowboys, Redskins.
Redskins, yeah.
The best teams, when you look at the teams that was winning in the 80s and early 90s, it was all NFC.
Yeah, they won like 13 in a row, didn't they? Did the NFC win like 13 Super Bowls in a row?
Yeah.
So like you
it's crazy.
I can't knock Elway for that because it's like I'm getting there, but look at the teams I gotta face.
Yeah. There was absolutely smoking teams, but John Elway though, his arm, bro, the way he would throw the ball, like I just back and watch, like when they show like his highlight, he's like young. It looked like if you catch it, it's gonna hurt your hands. Like he was
literally throwing fastballs out there. He was throwing fastballs out there.
Throw that thing.
Who you think is the closest to his arm strength right now in the league? Josh Allen.
Yeah, probably Josh. I mean, Mahomes can fire that thing in there too. But I think John Elway just did it so consistently and so accurately. Like the ball would be like on the receiver's chest. They couldn't catch it with their hands because they had like the ball just be like stuck on their chest. Like, and the way he threw, it was like his mechanics. It was just electric. Like.
John,
hey, Bird, you can't talk about ball sticking the chest and not say pause, man.
You gotta
you know the rules of the show, man. You can't.
Gary wants to know where we place Drew Brees. To me, Drew Brees ain't even in the top 10.
No. Yeah, I'm out on Drew Brees.
Drew Brees not.
I mean, he had a nice career. I mean, no disrespect to his career, but he's not top 10 to me at all.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. If we're saying Marino 6, which is fair because I agree, I think Manning and Elway are above Marino. I still would put Brett Favre above Drew Brees. I would put Aaron Rodgers above Drew Brees. I would put Steve Young above Drew Brees.
Warren Moon. Can we give Warren Moon some love?
Yeah.
Brett Favre
over Drew Brees? Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I got
Brett Favre.
I got this.
Hold on. Brett Favre went to 2 Super Bowls. He won 1. Brett Favre is a 4-time league MVP.
I get it, but he just threw so many interceptions.
He did.
He was,
but one of them cost him from getting back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that Minnesota. He should have went back.
The Minnesota one when he threw across his body over the middle.
Yeah, that killed them. They was the way better team that year with Adrian Peterson and Percy Harvin.
Can you imagine how crazy that would have been if he'd have won with Minnesota, bro?
I mean,
that would have been good.
He would have did what Brady did before Brady did. Go to a new team and win a Super Bowl.
No, but divisional rival. Like,
I know,
bro.
And that's the Super Bowl everybody wanted to see because it was supposed to be Minnesota against Indianapolis that year. Everybody wanted to see Favre versus Manning in the Super Bowl as opposed to Drew Brees. But Drew Brees doesn't crack the top 10. Like
I take Drew Brees. If you're saying I'm starting the team and I gotta take a quarterback, I'm taking Drew Brees over Brett Favre.
I'm gonna say something that neither one of you gonna agree with, and then I'm gonna take a shot because I ain't done one clink all night. If I had one game to win, I'm taking Peyton little brother over Drew Brees.
Hey, yo,
I agree with that.
I'm taking Eli over Drew Brees. If I got one game to play and one game to win, I'm taking Eli
over Drew Brees. I thought you meant like over everybody.
No. Just over Drew Brees.
Just those 2 guys. I agree.
I might take Eli to win a game if I gotta have one dude to go in the trenches with to win one big game. I might take Eli.
If you're telling me Eli or Drew Brees, your life's on the line. I'm taking Eli Manning.
Eli beat y'all's number 1 guy twice.
I know.
It's not even that he beat the number 1 guy twice, right? Like we talked about earlier, Vern. You mentioned about we saw Kansas City have to go on the road to win a game. How many times Eli went on the road and won a big playoff game?
Just like Joe Flacco, man.
Many
people, man.
Like remember when Dallas was the number 1 seed, Eli went in there and beat them. When they played that freezing game in Green Bay, he went into Green Bay twice in freezing temperatures. He beat Favre one time, he beat Rodgers the other time.
Yeah. Is he ever going to get in the hall? Is he ever going to get in?
Nah, I don't think he's always going to be. He's going to be the toughest sell to get into the hall because if you just take away his playoff, those 2 playoff runs are iconic. But if you take away them 2 playoff runs, it's a very mediocre career.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, his regular seasons were very regular.
He missed the playoffs more times than he made the playoffs.
I know, but not only did he beat the GOAT, he beat the undefeated up until that point in time Patriots.
Yeah, that's
a huge deal. Now, I'm not saying he should be in the Hall of Fame, but I think
I appreciate Gary posting because I was going to say this. Go ahead, Vern. His career record is 118 and 118.
I don't think he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we're not calling him a greatest all-time player, but one game. If I got to put out a squad of 53 dudes that's going to have to win me one football game, my starting quarterback's going to be Eli over Drew Brees.
And listen, he always going to get the props for beating the undefeated Patriots, but when he beat them the second time, I thought it was more impressive. When he beat them the second time, and that pass that he makes to Mario Manningham on the sideline.
On the sideline? I was just about to say that. That's one of the best passes I've ever seen.
It's one of the greatest passes.
The only one that's better than that is the one that
is in the corner with Pittsburgh, right?
Big Ben. That's the only one. Santonio Holmes. That's the only one.
I knew that's what you was gonna go to.
Eli's pass. That's from his goal line, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you can argue it though.
And what he can hit?
No, the Big Ben is a greater pass. It's because
Big Ben that won the game
and throws it into triple coverage and somehow.
Yeah, Manningham was more of the combination of catch and throw, but that Santonio Holmes train was crazy. That was a really good Super Bowl when you think about it.
Was probably a top 3 Super Bowl, man.
He had the James Harrison return. He had Larry Fitzgerald with the late touchdown. That joint was crazy.
That might be the best Super Bowl ever.
You think so?
Put that.
That's something we might need to debate after this week. After this Super Bowl, we might need to talk about what was the best Super Bowl ever.
Yeah, that's next week's topic.
It
Best
had a
Super Bowl
legacy, but yeah, I'm look. I might not watch my movies, but I know on Super Bowls. All right, so I'm locked in.
Yeah, you don't know shit about movies. We learned that.
Yeah,
we learned that.
Listen, before we wrap up, do we have to talk about the NBA trade deadline? Was there anything that inspired us?
I don't. Listen, I can say something about the NBA though.
What's that?
It sucks right now.
That's what I was telling Vern. Like the next couple of weeks gonna be kind of cold, man.
Knicks are booming.
That's why I'm glad Abbott Elementary's back, so I'm gonna have something to watch. But
Vern,
the NBA is trash.
Fan, right?
Huh?
You a Wizards fan?
I know we trash.
You
can keep watching my Knicks do their thing. I don't care what you got to say.
I watch Julius Randle in the playoffs.
Them Knicks. Hey, what trade was that y'all made? Y'all got rid of Fournier and
we got rid of Fournier and Grimes. We brought in Bogdanovich and Alex Burks. We got more shooting now. We about to get Mitchell Robinson back in a few weeks.
So you basically traded a fruit roll up for some grape nuts or something, man. That was a trash trade.
Bogdanovich is scoring 20 points a game, shooting over 40% from three.
Hey, congratulations.
That ain't gonna be his role there. You think that's gonna be his role there?
Of course not. He's gonna come off the bench. He's gonna take the minutes that we gave away for Emmanuel quickly. He's gonna take.
He'll give you 12. He'll give you 12.
That's all we need. That's all we need. Have you not seen how efficient our offense is right now?
Now, because you got the right point guard now.
Right, we got the right point guard. Vern, I can't hear you from the bottom of the standings. Vern, I can't hear you from the bottom of the standings. You're too low in the standings. I can't hear you. We can't
Hey, ease up, man. I'm Wiz.
This ain't about you, Will. But when the guys in the nosebleeds is trying to make noise, I can't hear you down here.
I'm up there with Vern though. I'm up there with Vern, sitting right next to him, sharing the popcorn because we Wizards fans. So I'm up on the last row, sharing the popcorn with him.
Choking again? I think it is. What you think?
I would say the Wizards choking, but it ain't nothing for y'all to choke on.
Nah. Pause. Oh my God. What was that, Eric?
I didn't even put the pause out there. Just let it simmer. Just let it simmer. You're going to put the pause out there.
What's a choke on?
Just let it simmer, man.
Super pause, man.
Vern, don't worry about it. I think next week y'all doing John Wall bobblehead day. So go ahead, get you over there.
Stop playing. Tell me that's a lie. Tell me that's a lie.
Y'all doing?
Yeah. Hey, yo, no lie. If we brought John Wall back right now, I'd be all in on that shit, man.
Yeah,
that was my guy, man. That's one of my favorite Wizards of all time.
We're waiting for them to.
That was my guy, man.
T-shirt night. He waiting for the boycott T-shirt night.
I call John Wall my son, man, because I feel like I've raised him. You know what I'm saying? Through his growth through the league. Oh, damn, that was a super pause too. But yeah, John Wall, I call him son, man. That was my kid, man. And I still to this day wish that he could still be part of the organization because it ain't nobody for real. If you think of, and Vern, you can attribute to this. Tell me somebody that represented DC basketball better than John Wall.
Nobody. No.
And it hasn't been since.
Nobody. That's why Bradley Beal don't get the same love and respect.
Fuck Bradley. Don't get me started on Bradley Beal. John Wall represented the city, and he embraced the city, and he represented the toughness of DC basketball. That's exactly, man. I'm always have love for John Wall.
Oh, yeah, John Wall can come back and never pay for a meal for the rest of his life.
For sure. I just wish it didn't go down the way it did with Ernie Grunfeld and him.
That Hawks series, bro. Oh, I know you remember that when that playoff run was going. Nene not getting that rebound. John Wall getting injured, bro. Come on, we were winning the championship that year.
I thought we were on our way. It was like finally DC about to win something. That squad with Wall, Nene, Gortat,
we swept Toronto.
Nick Young, JaVale McGee, like that squad. people laughed at us a lot, but they had heart, man.
I promise
And that's all I ask. All I ask is for you to have heart and effort, and they
I was
did.
in school,
Look
yeah,
up.
me and my man, we would be done studying. It was like, look, man, regardless of what we gotta do, we gotta watch the game. I used to go down the street, and we used to watch every game. And
I loved that team. That was one of my favorite Wizards teams. The only Wizards team that I loved more than the John Wall team was when Rod Strickland was out there with
who Webb?
You see Webb, yeah, all them dudes. Rod, I used to Ben Wallace, Darvin Ham, I used to sell Timberlands to Ben Wallace and Darvin Ham because I used to work at Landover Mall. I'm aging myself now. Remember Landover Mall, bro? I used to work at Landover Mall in Pants. There was a store called Pants Plus, and they was the only store in the area that had Timberlands in oversized 17.
Oh.
So they used to come rock with me all the time. Rod used to come in there too. Rod used to pull up in the Rod Strickland had a gold 500 Mercedes with the BBSs on them. And he pull up on a regular basis, just buying out my store. And them dudes used to come in there and just throw me tickets all the just.
See, that's why I understand, and I would too. But the Gilbert Arenas hibachi days.
No,
I mean, we can talk about this.
You know what? I was just very disrespectful. I was just very disrespectful. I can't forget about the Gilbert, Perron, and Anton Jameson days.
Let this turn into the Wizards down memory lane.
Hey,
man, listen, man, we're not about to go through every era. Nah, we're not doing that, man. Come on, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Hey, shout out to Gil, J-Mo, and Karan Butler, man. Tough dudes, man. That team that lost to LeBron, man.
Give me your final thought.
Final thought, man. Hey, look, it's been a great run. I still don't know where we are on the picks for the year. I think
I told you I've been tallying them up. I got all the papers.
Eric is holding it back because I think we all kind of know what's going on there. But it's Mr. Always Right. So I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Chiefs are gonna win it.
Okay.
All right.
Will, give me a final thought.
Man, y'all got me on this. Vern got me on this Wizards tangent. I'm like, damn, no, man, I'm about to have to go on YouTube and watch some old Wizards highlights when Gil used to straight fry motherfuckers.
House, cook that, man. Oh, that's
Gil used to fry dudes. All right, this is my final thought. It's going to be Wizards related because Vernon took me there. The counselor took me there. See, that's how you know he a good lawyer because he done led the witness.
Not leading the witness, Lord.
Hey, shout out to the Gilbert Arenas Wizards, man. That team was. Now, I'm not saying nothing to what he does now with his podcast because ours is better. But shout out to Hibachi Gilbert Arenas. Shout out to Agent Zero Gilbert Arenas. When he didn't make the Olympic team, and he said, all right, I'm giving all y'all 50. When he was talking to all the coaches, because it was coaches from all over the NBA. He said, all right, I'll give all y'all 50. And then he did it the following season. Shout out to that. But more importantly, though, I'm joking. More importantly, it's good to have the counselor back with us this week. Always good to rock with my brother E Double. And let's just keep it going, gentlemen. Let's just enjoy this Super Bowl and keep giving the people what they want.
Absolutely, man. I hope everybody enjoys the game. We appreciate everybody that was rocking with us throughout the NFL season. And then we're gonna come up with some good topics moving forward. And we're gonna have something next week.
I got a bunch in mind. Let's
get to it. Like I said, let's brainstorm. Let's put some topics together. But fellas, enjoy the games. Obviously, we're gonna be texting throughout the game, so we'll talk.
The picks. I'm putting a crazy ticket together, so I'm
gonna send you a couple of. I'm gonna tell you one that I like. That I don't know how heavy I'm gonna lean into this one, but Pacheco has the third best odds to be the MVP on the Kansas City Chiefs. So if you like Kansas City and you want to go away from the traditional Mahomes or Kelsey aspect, Pacheco right now is plus 3,000 to be the MVP.
Damn.
I know.
So what's $5 pay?
5 is gonna get you back what?
Lot?
$150, something like that, right?
Nah, more than that. It should.
Yeah,
Hold
it should.
on.
If it's 3,000.
I think everybody be right. Hold on. What is it?
I think that's what it is. I'm gonna double check for you right now.
While you figuring that out, another, I come with a couple final thoughts. Real quick, it's a quick question to both of you. Favorite Super Bowl snack?
Wings.
Snack? Ooh. Snack?
You want wings? You want meatballs? You want
Bro, so all I know is this. It gotta be pizza and wings. Anything else?
pizza and wings?
Anything else? You can have
Oh.
one thing. I gotta
So
have both.
check it. The odds just changed. It went to plus 2,500. So yeah, $5 get you 125 back.
Okay, so it was 150.
Yeah, but I like that as a dark horse candidate because, like I said, Kelsey, Mahomes, that's your norm. There is a world where Pacheco might run for 80 yards and get 2 touchdowns in this game, and if it's a low-scoring game,
Yeah,
maybe
like
it leans that
Mahomes,
way.
I'm trying to put like a $1 to get $8,500 parlay.
Yeah, we trying to hit a lotto ticket.
Yeah. I'm trying to hit a lotto
ticket.
That's
Lotto
serious.
stud.
That's something we should start doing, though.
I want to get on BR.
Shout out to that's something they do on my. Oh, we ain't even holler at JP tonight. Shout out to the homie
He
JP.
likes the Chiefs, right?
Yeah, he liked the Chiefs 24-20. Shout out to JP Flame from the Sports Junkies. He couldn't join us tonight, but he gave us his pick
Right.
24-20 Chiefs.
Kansas City.
But
It's gonna
that's
be a great game. Listen, I'm gonna text it out. Maybe we put something together. If y'all want to put something together, we just throw $1 in there and see.
that's something we should start doing. A parlay like a crazy like 4 or 5 leg parlay where a couple dollars would get us paid crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Just put it out every week, right?
Bro,
Yeah, we should. That might be something we might have to interject in the show, man, because
We might have to do that.
this child support ain't ain't no joke.
That's something we might have to do. Listen, we're gonna wrap up on that note, fellas. I will be sending y'all text messages, so we'll
Hey,
discuss
no, Eve, what was your Super Bowl snack?
wings.
Oh, wings. What
Yeah,
flavor?
I like buffalo wings. I like lemon pepper, of course. I like garlic palm.
Woo, Lord.
I like mango habanero.
Have you had Chipotle honey?
Man, get out of B-dubs, man.
Nah, I'm
Chipotle
serious.
honey is crazy.
What's your flavor? What's your flavor, counselor?
Naked Chipotle honey.
Chipotle honey. Where do you get that from?
With that, huh?
Where do you get that from? I've never even heard of that flavor.
So get some Chipotle sauce and just put honey in it. Telling you.
Oh, you make it at home?
No, I mean
You make it at home?
I don't make the Chipotle sauce. You can get
He
any
just
kind
adds
of
the honey to it. Yeah.
add the honey to it.
Oh, okay.
Say something hot, sweet boy. Go crazy.
So this is the one thing we all agree on. Wings is the go-to Super Bowl snack.
Absolutely.
Yes, must.
Absolutely.
I'm with that. What's the drink though? What's the beverage? That's one more. What's the bev? Can't forget the bev.
Never.
Never. Shout out to the homie. What's the homie to be saying that? E? You know the dude. He up from around your way.
Yeah, the Aki way from Brooklyn.
Aki, yeah, the Aki way. Yeah, what's y'all's bev? Water?
Beer for me. I don't even like beer, but for football,
I'll be sipping on tequila with some lemonade on Sunday.
Okay. I'm gonna be sipping on the kettle.
There you go.
The Uno.
Fellas, we got to wrap. I definitely got to go right now, but we're gonna be in touch.
Hit y'all.
All right, man.
Enjoy the game, fellas. Enjoy it.